Celebrating Pride Month on Wish TV, presented by Indiana Funeral Care.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Celebrating Pride. I'm Phil Sanchez.
And I'm Alexis Rogers. We took some time to travel here to Military Park, a favorite location for a lot of Indianapolis festivals, but especially the annual Indy Pride Festival.
You know, Indy Pride began in 1996 as a week-long festival at the Canal. It grew so large it moved to the American Legion Mall and finally here to Military Park in 2017.
Then in 2002, that was when they had the first parade.
Wow.
It's hard to believe they only had 8 people, but that was definitely destined to change.
Sure, and it got so big that prior to the pandemic, they had more than 100,000 people.
So the pandemic definitely changed a lot of things. Indy Pride had to go virtual last year and again this year.
And if you missed it or you want to see it again, it's available online at indypride.org.
Well, hey, Indianapolis, how are we? Pride, what's going on this year? Happy Pride!
And Tanner, how are you celebrating your personal pride? You know, I think celebrating personal pride to me, I'm a people person, so I am celebrating by being around the people that make me feel most proud of my identity.
I really like the interview segments with HALLE. Those are my favorite.
Thank you.
Because you're such an interesting person.
Thank
and
you.
You're so funny. So this right here is
You're setting the bar really, really high.
Oh,
and
no.
So I roll on. Yeah.
Listen to the song that I sing. Listen to the words in my heart. Listen to the hope I can bring. And we'll start to roll and shine.
Tonight, we will share the stories of some of the challenges that the LGBT community here in Indianapolis face, and we're also going to celebrate how that same community is rising to meet those challenges.
Camila Fernandez introduces us to a young Latino man who struggles with the ideals of manhood, machismo, and what it's like to be a man in the traditional sense within his community.
Multicultural reporter Katira Winfrey shows us how the Damien Center is one of the agencies helping LGBTQ homeless youth break through the barriers they face every day.
We meet jazz saxophonist and aspiring filmmaker Jared Thompson and learn how the saxophone inspires him and how being gay and black fit into his artistic composition.
Plus, we travel to Bloomington to meet their new student body president, who's making it a priority to increase cultural awareness on and off campus.
When we come back, we'll take a closer look at the history of Indy Pride. Stick with us.
Celebrating Pride Month on Wish TV, presented by Indiana Funeral Care.
Welcome back to Celebrating Pride. In addition to here in Indiana, Pride Month is celebrated all across the country during the month of June each and every year. But how did it get started? Wish TV reporter David Williams gives us some historical perspective.
LGBTQ+ is an acronym for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning. The plus is meant to include everyone.
Pride Month means a lot to a lot of different people. I think the two biggest focus areas of this month are really the celebration of the LGBTQ+ community, as well as the history that has gotten us to where we are now.
In late June of 1969, the police raided a well-known gay bar in New York City called the Stonewall Inn. At the time, raids occurred at establishments where gay people were known to be served drinks. The Stonewall Inn wasn't the only bar in town that was the target of raids. That sparked an uprising of resistance and protests.
Clearly, it was about not having an inclusive space. It was about being mistreated and being looked down upon and being made to feel less than other people in society.
Before the 60s, almost everything about living openly gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender was illegal. The rebellion sparked the momentum for a movement.
It was led, and kind of the figurehead, if you will, of the whole movement was a trans woman of color. And I think that's incredibly important to point out now, especially was then, But now, especially as we are realizing that this is a part of our community that needs to be recognized for their dedication to fighting for equality since the 60s.
Indy Pride Board President Tanner Alexander says a lot of progress has happened since then, including when same-sex marriage became legal nationwide in 2015.
When that was achieved, and when the Supreme Court announced that a man and a man, a woman and a woman, and anyone in between can now marry the partner that they choose, that's a huge deal.
He says there is still work to be done, like listening more intentionally to the voices of people of color and transgender people and make sure they have seats at every table. He also hopes people outside the LGBTQ+ community will better understand.
We in the community are all so different, and it would really add a lot of value to talk to individuals who don't look like you, who might not think like you, who don't live the same life as you, and understand what it is they want, because what someone else wants is not going to match up with everything that I want in my life. And so I don't want it to seem as though there's one voice for Pride Month.
Alexander recommends people show up and support organizations that serve the LGBTQ+ community. He says it's important for people to do their own research into their own misconceptions and things they'd like to rectify and learn. He says, come out, celebrate, learn, and have fun.
Celebrating Pride Month on Wish TV, presented by Indiana Funeral Care.
Welcome back to Celebrating Pride. Right now we want to introduce you to a local guy. His name is Jared Thompson. He's a jazz saxophonist and an aspiring filmmaker who also plays at the Jazz Kitchen. He talks to us about how playing the saxophone and also being black and gay helps with his artistic composition.
My name's Jared Thompson, tenor saxophone player, and we're here at the Jazz Kitchen in Indianapolis, Indiana. It fits like a glove. I love this thing. Premium Blends started probably about 11 years ago, just me wanting to get on the scene and play and meet musicians, and I ended up getting about a core group of 4 people that we just continued going to jam sessions. And as it's evolved over the years, we've settled on saxophone, keyboard, key bass, guitar, and drums for the ensemble. And in the last 6 years, we've produced 4 records. My childhood was great. I've got an older sister and a technically older brother. I'm a twin. He's 1 minute older than I am. Music was always something that we all began piano lessons at about 5 years old. And I settled on saxophone for the same reason everyone else wanted to play a saxophone, because it's cool. I get teased a lot. I have this leg kick, I guess, that I do, and I've got a cheek that comes out. The Jazz Kitchen for sure is one of those places that hits home with a lot of people. It took me a long time to get the courage to step up on the stage and play years ago, just because I knew the people that had played on the stage before. So there's a level of expectation that has to be met. I didn't really come out until my first semester of college, away from home. It was about just really accepting myself for who I was, and then once I was able to do that just for myself, I was able to say that and represent that to other people around me. And I think that's the most important thing about coming out and what coming out actually means, despite all the factors that are going around in the world around you. I'm a black gay man, and there's a lot of weight in both of those lanes. Those lanes intersect, and I think that's something every community, including the gay community, has to realize and understand as well. So if I am a role model, I think that's great. I just want to try to be a decent human being, better than a decent human being, a mindful human being, and just try to make the next day better in my intent for understanding, accepting, and also letting certain things go that I don't have any control over. Find solace in your work. You have that gift for a reason, and that gift is to help you process whatever emotions that you're going through. And also, you're not alone. There are others, and just find out where they are and how to best access them to get advice or even just an ear to listen to. It's going to be tough, but it's not insurmountable, and it's going to be very rewarding once you come through it. My guitar player, Ryan Taylor, was the producer for 38th and Postmodernism, and we put together a soundtrack of sorts, using our music to tell a story about a lot of the issues plaguing all of us in 2020. There was civil unrest and violence on top of this pandemic where we were seeing the most vulnerable communities really being exposed and suffering.
What I hope is that we become just tighter, you know, just as a nation, as a musical community.
It's fascinating. Some of the details in filmmaking are very similar to the details in music, and it taught me an awareness of those kind of things. Pride means a lot of things. I think for me, personally, is just being proud of who I am as a person. I'm always gonna be black and I'm always gonna be gay. Nothing anybody can do about it.
Celebrating Pride Month on Wish TV, presented by Indiana Funeral Care.
Welcome back to Celebrating Pride. News 8's Camila Fernandez spoke with LGBTQ members of the Latino community about the challenges that they face, challenges they've been wrestling with for quite some time.
I don't feel like I need to do that or prove myself that I'm man enough to anybody.
Jose Castillo Jimenez came to the United States from Venezuela when he was 4 years old. He says he grew up around men and women who expected him to act a certain way, making it harder for him to come to terms with his sexual orientation. For in the Latino community, it's a lot really about manhood, machismo, a man's traditional role.
I had maybe some flamboyant tendencies that weren't really for like a boy. So I always felt like I had to prove myself because I would hear some comments growing up. So I always wanted to have the best looking girlfriend. He was a youth leader and grew up close to his mom, but things quickly changed after somebody spotted him on a dating app. I arrived home, I remember this day vividly. I got there and it was my whole family. My mom, my aunt, my grandma, my grandpa, my dad, my pastor was there, and I had just come home from work and they were all just there waiting to talk to me. Despite some challenges, he's now becoming his most authentic self, and he wants to show support for others struggling to do just that. To give that little brown boy or brown girl some hope, it gets better. You just gotta go through it and you'll be happy. According to prevention specialist for the Damien Center, Maria Preston, there's a lot of machismo in the Latino community.
A lot of men are expected to be married, you have kids, you run your house, and you are the man of the house. And this is, you're supposed to stick to those expectations. And as a result of this masculine domination, Preston says a lot of men are struggling with things like depression, so they're offering support and resources. Jimenez says he's hopeful about the future. I just want to bring more brown, more black, more Latinos to the table, especially when it comes to pride.
Celebrating Pride Month on Wish TV, presented by Indiana Funeral Care.
A multi-million-dollar plan is helping to house homeless youth here in Indianapolis, and a part of that funding is going to focus on housing local LGBTQ youth. News 8's Katira Winfrey has the story.
Housing is a necessity that quite a few people in Indiana don't have, young people and young adults included. The Damien Center is one of the agencies focusing on LGBTQ homeless youth.
It's the foundation for everything. You know, having a safe place to to live, so that from there you can work on all your other goals.
JAIME Reynolds with the Damien Center is one of many working to change that, and they are doing it with the help of $3.8 million. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development allocated the money specifically to address youth and young adult homelessness.
And it's important to amplify these stories so that everyone's story gets told, not just the pictures that are easy to swallow.
The Damien Center's portion of funding has helped place 30 young people in stable housing.
Voice, homeless LGBTQ people deserve a voice. Their stories need to be told so that we can adjust the barriers that they are facing every day.
Advocates say a quarter of homeless youth identify as LGBTQ. Kit Malone works with the ACLU and follows LGBTQ issues closely.
You know, in some cases, families will try to get them involved in programs that seek to dissuade them from being LGBTQ, which is something that we know doesn't work and statistically increases the rate of suicide among LGBTQ youth.
She adds young people often end up on the streets because they are shunned by their families or don't have the freedom to live their authentic lives where they are. Reporting in Indianapolis, I'm Katira Winfrey.
Celebrating Pride Month on Wish TV, presented by Indiana Funeral Care.
Indiana University has a new student body president that's making it his priority to increase cultural awareness on and off campus. News 8's David Williams has his story.
21-year-old Kai Freeman is soaking it in as IU's new student body president.
I'm not going to say I didn't think it would happen, but I think honestly it's a dream.
The Pike High School grad from Indy took office May 13th without political experience. He told News 8 he has made history at the school.
There have been 5 Black student body presidents that have come to IU, but I am the first openly gay Black man, so yay, let's throw that out there for Pride Month as well.
An IU spokesperson told News 8 they suspect it is the case that Kai is the first openly gay Black man to serve in that role, but they can't be 100% sure because records don't reference race or sexual orientation. Today, the university sent News 8 a statement saying Kai Freeman has been a path-breaking advocate for student equity, diversity, and social justice at IU Bloomington. We are thrilled that he has been elected by his peers to lead the student body at this critical juncture in our history.
She seemed really involved with the community. He seemed like he knew a lot. I like the guy, so I voted for him.
The university said their first Black student body president was Tom Atkins, who served from 1960 to 61. Kai knows he stands on the shoulders of others too.
For us, it's really something that I take as something that's empowering, but also I think as a drive to really keep pushing forward. So, you know, I'm not having these same conversations when I talk to Michael Coleman or LeMage Johnson of what were the things that you were battling here, but how do we really reimagine that new normal for us as students and really, I think, push that envelope.
Freeman tells me his term will be 1 year, and he says he has 2 top priorities: increasing cultural awareness both on and off campus, as well as mental health.
I think the biggest thing that we saw is that, you know, through the COVID-19 pandemic, it exacerbated a lot of pre-existing conditions. And one of those really being that mental health component for students throughout this time is that we really want to get, I think, back into the community and really engaging with them to know that there's someone here listening to you, there is someone here that sees you.
Freeman says he wants to make a lasting impact both on and off campus.
I think the biggest thing is to understand for students is that there is a community, and I am here to make sure that that happens. Because again, I make these promises is that I'm going to lead with radical love. I'm going to lead with radical understanding and a radical openness to new ideas.
He says he's ready to do the work and engage with students the best way he possibly can. In Bloomington, I'm David Williams.
All month long, Wish TV has been celebrating the Pride movement here in Indianapolis. We've also taken a closer look at the past and the hope for the future here across our city and across our state. If you would like to see more on that, head to wishtv.com. For now, though, from all of us here at Wish TV, thank you for joining us.
And before we let you go, we love you that much that we wanted to give you a little something extra. So you remember Jared Thompson, the really talented artist that we introduced you to earlier? Well, we figured that we close out the show with one of his original songs, Sabotage.